This one, first and foremost, morning. All good to have your company on a Friday morning. This is starting up with Virtuzone. What that it means that we here at Dubai on 103.8, me, Tom Urquhart, teams up with the team from Virtuzone to, well, just proffer you a little bit of advice. Listen, you might be looking for that little nudge to get you over the line to, see your dreams come true, your vision become a reality. If so, then Virtuzone is the place to go. Busy time of year, Mr. Paul Bryson?
Yeah, always in the run-up to the summer. Busy, not bad, especially since we went through the acquisition, so there's a lot of kind of changes happening with us in terms of how busy we are, in terms of getting inquiries from across the planet.
Yeah, across the planet. There we go. That's indicative of what's happening here in the UAE at the moment. But equally, we go further than that. It's not just starting up, it's also scaling a business as well. I think that's one thing that people don't fully appreciate. Yeah, Virtuzone, really good at getting you up and running. But equally, you've become something of a bit of an agony aunt, haven't you? Because something of a bit of a consultancy agency. People want advice moving forward that business. You're there to help.
I think that's where it starts. Like everybody in Dubai, everybody that I know runs some sort of business that will get you a trade license, but it's more about understanding the nuances of how to actually conduct commercial activity here and expand abroad. It's not just a case of commoditizing it and selling a trade license. It's very much about the consultancy.
Yeah, and that's what we want to discuss today, actually, because there are a number of brands that are synonymous with Dubai, a number of brands that are synonymous with the UAE. But how many have made it globally? Any that you can think of the top of your head?
Main giving movement.
Main, I'd certainly put into the main. Oyster Bar and Grill, Huda Beauty, I think, has done an extraordinary job. Kayali, of course. The giving movement is a very good shout. Kinoya, to a certain degree. But what makes a brand world class? Do you see an increasing number of VZ clients wanting to go global? Is that part of the to-do list?
Yeah, but I tend to find that are you talking about homegrown brands that want to go global? Yeah, but Dubai tends to be the first port of call when people are kind of moving outside their own domestic market. But timing's good for the question. We had a VZ client yesterday who wants to expand into India. And India isn't the first place that we tend to think of. It tends to be somewhere like kind of Singapore or moving backwards into Europe. But I was very surprised. They do linens and bed sheets, and I thought there must be enough of that there. But they're expanding into there. They're doing well. They're selling to hotels. So definitely seeing it.
We're going to get more from Paul, more from the Virtuzone team throughout this hour, and more from you, as always. You can text us on 4001 with any questions, comments or thoughts. You can also WhatsApp us on 04871 5500. Right, let's get some real-world experience here. A Dubai-born brand that's now shipping gourmet snacks to over 30 countries globally. This is a lesson not just in family legacy, but smart strategy and real grit. And the man that's driving that is the MD, the Managing Director of Hunter Foods, Ananya Narayan, who joins us now live in the studio. Ananya, always good to catch up with you. Thanks so much indeed for your time. It's good to have you on board.
Thanks for having me, Tom.
Great to have you with us. Now, Hunter Foods is, again, a brand I would say that is synonymous with Dubai, with this part of the world, but as we will explain, has gone truly global now. You started as a local family business, expanded internationally in recent years. Why was that always on the cards? Was it always the plan to go beyond these borders?
Absolutely. I think if one wants to really scale, if you talk about a population of the UAE versus the population of the GCC, but then if you really want to scale monumentally, or you really look at the world, so going from maybe 10 million to population 50, 60 million within the GCC, but then there are 7 billion people plus in the world. And so how do we reach them? And Dubai is such a great place to do that from.
Let's talk about where you're at the moment. Obviously, very well established here in the UAE, setting up in Dubai. You've got your factories here, you've got everything going on here. As I mentioned there, you can't go to a dinner party, a lunch party, a kids party, any party these days without having Hunter Foods somewhere in the mix. But where are we at now? How big is the company now? Which markets are you in?
We're now in 65 markets, and we're as far away from the UAE as Brazil. So that's the furthest market we have, but together with New Zealand. So these would be the two furthest markets. But our big markets would be countries in Asia, like the Koreas and the Japans, and we were just talking about Philippines, Thailand. These are all some of our larger markets outside the UAE.
It's an extraordinary story, and I always refer to it. Whenever anyone talks to me about, Dubai chocolate and how that's gone global and viral, I go, hang on, Hunter Foods did it a long time before they did it any time, that's for sure.
You were talking about legacy there, right, and where they came from. And I just found out in the green room and this is actually quite a start. They were factory number 1 in Jafsa.
Is that right?
We were building number 1 in Jafsa.
Building number 1 in Jafsa.
Wow, okay.
Registration number 8008. So we had the license to trade. We missed the license to kill by 1.
Yeah, I was just going to say. Perfect. That's something to be proud of. I think that's and it shows kind of where Jafsa's gone as well. To this point, I mean, Jafsa's a monster, a global monster, and this, to start this brand in there's phenomenal.
One question I have got though is, though it's all good and well setting up in a market like the UAE, an emirate like Dubai. Obviously, you can rely on people like Virtuzone and others to point you in the right direction of how one operates, and the licenses you need, the permissions you need, the regulations you work under. When it comes to exporting products, how much of a minefield is that? How much of a learning curve was it to export Hunter Food products to different markets?
It's more about regulation.
Yeah.
But before we even get to that, the place to really start is having a product which is world class and that is exportable. Not every product can be exported globally. So you have to start with a product which is truly world class, and it has its own unique selling points. Now, once you've got that, the main barrier to exporting becomes regulation. And so as soon as we start a new market, it takes 6, 9, 12 months just ensuring that we have the right paperwork in place and we conform with the regulations, whether it's the FDA or whatever the standard is for that country, to be able to export into that market.
How do you break into other markets? I mean, this is it's an industry I think that has traditional players in it. A couple, maybe 3, 4, 5 big ones globally. Is that a barrier as well, or do you feel like I have a unique product that can compete with this?
Well, if we really look at the major international brands, there are probably about 4 or 5. Majority of them from one company.
Yeah.
But if you start talking about premium mass, something which is a little bit better, there aren't many global brands at all.
And I think it does look better, right? Packaging spot on. It looks high end. It doesn't look like your normal packet of crisps or potato chips, right? And the tubs, etc. I think you've nailed the packaging, because it makes somebody look at it and think, I'm going to pick that up. It's similar to a couple of brands in the UK that have that as well.
Sure.
We won't kind of go into them, but yeah, it's got that shelf appeal that makes you want to pick it up. And I think, though, you're talking about expanding in other markets, and I'm not going to go off on one here, but how do you expand in other markets that have, they have a different taste? So you mentioned Thailand. The last time, no, in fact, I was in Thailand. They have, from like Lay's, for example, they have cucumber flavour chips. I would never pick them up in my life, right? And they had lime flavoured crisps, and we're not used to that, right? We're looking for cheese and onion and salt and vinegar, prawn cocktail. Like, how do you break into these Asian markets who have a different taste? Do you change the product at all?
We don't change the product, but we do take into account some of the flavour profiles that they're looking for.
Yeah, okay.
And some of the markets, we've actually launch some products internationally first and then launch them in the UAE as phase 2. So they were actually made for some of the international markets because those are some of the taste profiles they were looking for.
Can you give us an example of one of those?
So an example of that would be white truffle and cheese. Now, white truffle and cheese was actually made for the Japanese market. So when we launched into Japan, we caused a truffle mania because there were not many, there's not a lot of innovation. There weren't a lot of players. There's one major player who's got 86% of the market share. So innovation had been relatively slow. When we launched that with the black truffle, the market, in fact, there was a point people could only buy 1 pack a day. And that was what the supermarkets had already put as a quota. And then we were looking for a second flavor. And we had a few other truffle options, but they actually chose a white truffle and cheese. And then that was a flavor which we launched just for them. And then later, now it's available in Dubai. But for a long time, it was exclusive just for the Japanese market.
That is amazing.
By the way, this exclusivity really drives up demand as well.
It does.
You know, when things are just available, and particularly it happens in a lot of industries. But when Japan is one of these countries that has a lot of Japan exclusives, shoes, sports equipment, people just really desire it when they know they can't get it.
Right, absolutely.
We're going to take a quick break here. We are in conversation with the Managing Director of Hunter Foods. We're talking about, well, how you go to market globally. All good and well, establishing a very successful brand here in Dubai and the UAE, maybe even the GCC. But how do you go truly global? More advice coming your way next.
This is Starting Up on Dubai Eye 103.8.
With Virtuzone. Be your own.
Business breakfast be gone. They're starting up with Virtuzone. Wear 2 hats on a Friday, so forgive me for getting that one wrong. But we got starting up with Virtuzone all the way through to 11 o'clock. We're talking crisps. We are talking crisps
Is that
here
why you brought
in the
me in
studio.
Because you know that's something that I know a bit about.
You answered the call. Joined by the voice there, Paul Bryson, Managing Director of Virtuzone. And our special guest in the first half of this show is Ananya Narayan, who is the Managing Director of Hunter Foods, a Dubai-born brand that's now shipping gourmet snacks to over 30 countries, but as you said, 65 markets. Is that right?
It is 65 countries now.
65 countries. We got that one wrong. We've doubled that scale. And I suppose that's indicative of the rate of scaling as well. I mean, who was your first market outside the UAE?
Actually, if we go back historically, it was probably the UK.
Yeah.
We were in 1,200 Tesco's in the early 90s.
Amazing.
And in
Was that
Australia.
was that a
the other
Safari or was that a different?
That was actually a brand called Shikar, which means hunter in Hindi. And it was for papadums. It was ready-to-eat papadums. And we were the first to bring that into international markets way back in the early 90s.
And then in terms of opening other markets as well, and exploring opportunities in other markets, did that sort of, did the momentum kick in then or not?
It did. So we went through 2 spurts. So the first one was in the early 90s. That's when my father was running the company. Then the second one was in 2014 when my wife and I took over the company and we built the Hunter's Gourmet brand. And then that was the second part of the journey. And it was almost a restart because it was a completely new brand. But it resonated more with the international market. So we were able to scale it that much faster.
When it comes to marketing in other communities, other markets, I should say, this whole UAE or Dubai food tag, the F&B community has obviously gained in respect and reputation in recent years. Has that helped with the growth or not?
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
I think brand Dubai, in the past, Middle East wasn't really seen as a manufacturing hub. And I think more in recent years, Dubai, the appeal of Dubai, as a luxury destination and to have a luxury snack it actually goes hand in hand. So again, back to the Japan example, there was a TV show where they actually asked the question, where's Hunter's Gourmet manufactured? And there were two options, Dubai or Las Vegas. And those were put together on purpose because people knew it would be from a market which would be quite a grand, more luxurious market. And half the people thought it was Las Vegas and half said Dubai. But it goes back to show that even in Japan, they were trying to talk about the appeal of Dubai on a luxury chip.
I think we've seen a big change in that as well, where previously there was a there was a kind of stigma attached to things that were manufactured locally. Not a stigma, but question marks around the quality. And when you were buying products that perhaps had a UK flag on it, a German flag, a US flag, they sold better. They used to put them on it so that people seen them here and they assumed quality along with that. Whereas now, we've definitely seen a shift, as you said, in F&B. I think maybe Dubai Chocolate kicked it up another notch. But and from speaking to Dubai government, incentives are going to be put in place for people and companies to manufacture here. And Dubai hasn't really pushed on manufacturing. There's never been a desire to bring manufacturing companies here. Bahrain have always been quite good at it. They've put incentives in place. They've offered free factories in some instances to get it there. But there's a real push from it now from Dubai. And Dubai government, you know what it's like, right? Once they decide on something and they make that a goal, they will achieve that, and it will be full of industry.
And to that end, Ananya, I mean, we mentioned about brand Dubai and that helping as well, but the Dubai logistics ecosystem, you were just talking about, you being one of the early adopters into JAFSA and the system there. It's a system that has evolved with time. Is that an enabler as well?
Oh, massive. As much as we're in the food business, we're in the logistics business. And the reason we can really export, the number one enabler for us to export is DP World and its JAFSA, because the connectivity, the costs to make it, to sell into certain markets, it is vital, especially for snacks, where it's light and the value becomes relatively low. So if we look at certain markets, especially within Asia, it's actually to ship cheaper over there than to ship it to Muscat or Riyadh.
Must be cheaper to ship it than it would be for, say, shipping a chocolate product, because you might need to ship it in a certain cooled environment or something like that. You couldn't leave it lying around JAFSA, which you potentially could do with crisps.
Yeah, we ship in ambient temperature. We don't need reefer containers. But it's just the shipping costs of the reverse freight. So a lot of our strategy actually starts when we're looking and prioritizing markets. We actually look at shipping costs as one of the key enablers, because if the shipping cost is too high, it'll be very hard for us to be competitive by the time it reaches that market.
You mentioned there the experiences you've had since early mid 1990s, and all the highs and the lows that we've seen through business as well. I mean, I'm sure there must have been a few challenges along the way, a few mistakes made as well. What did they teach you along the way in terms of global scaling?
I think the number one thing is always to expect the unexpected and to be ready for that, especially in the last 5 years, because you don't know what's going to happen next. I mean, whether it's logistics, blockades, there have been issues with just availability of raw materials. There are so many things we can't control, and we just have to be prepared for plan B, plan C, plan D.
What would be the one piece of advice that you would give someone that's moving into a foreign market from here? Where have you fell down, and perhaps at a place where you thought this is going to be easy in it, or you didn't see it coming? So where's that one thing?
I think one of the things I would say is, look, it's very exciting when you first move into a lot of the market. So you almost underprice yourself, because you say, look, I'd love to be in that market. But then once you get into the market and you see the opportunities in that market, now you need to really invest into those markets. And it's very important to leave that room to invest further. Now, if you give your bottom line, right for the product, then you don't have the margins to really invest into the product. So it is very important to look at the long game, not the short term getting into a market and getting too excited from the beginning when you're entering.
It's a really good bit of advice. And I wonder as well whether you could just give us a bit of advice about brand identity, because you built a brand that is, as I said at the beginning, synonymous with Dubai, synonymous with the UAE. It is a well-respected brand as well. When people buy a tin of Hunters, they know what they're going to get. With all the sort of different taste variations, with all the different sort of demands of other markets, is it key that you maintain that brand identity?
It is. That's, again, what Dubai also helps, having the brand based in Dubai, because we have 200 nationalities here. And by having 200 nationalities, what a great test market. Because if you can actually appeal to all these different nationalities here, it becomes that much easier to take that brand and export into all these different markets.
It's a fascinating story, and long may it continue as well. It's been part of my entire life here in Dubai for the last 25 years, and I'm sure it will be for many, many more years to come. Last one for you, Ananya, because I know that one thing that we can rely on for you is obviously all these lessons learned during your extraordinary career, but you're also the man in control of the taste trends out there, the snack trends as well. We're mid-2025? We're going into a good snacking period of the summer. Everyone loves to snack during the summer. But what are the trends in snacks at the moment?
I think one of the key trends that we see is just having clean ingredients. I think people aren't necessarily ready to compromise taste for health. They are to a certain extent, but not completely. Taste still rules. You can have a healthy product. Without the taste, it's not going to sell.
Yeah.
But one of the first things which people are paying a lot more attention to is what's in that product. Is it natural? Are the ingredients natural? How many lines are there of ingredients? And I think we start seeing and hearing from people, they are looking at that so much more than ever before.
Quinoa crisp forever, eh? Listen, always good to catch up with you, Ananya. Thank you so much indeed for your time. Really appreciate it. If people want to find out more about the line, if people want to find out more about Hunter Foods, where do you send them?
Hunterfoods.com or the supermarket, absolutely.
We can, of course, find out more online on their socials, supermarket shelves, the world as you've been hearing there. Ananya Narayan, thank you so much indeed. Lovely to catch up with you.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Paul.
A big thanks to all the team at Hunter Foods. Do stick around. We are going to have more for you in just a few moments about how to make a name for yourself internationally. That's up next.
Your ARN News.
I'm Serena Kelly. The International Atomic
We are talking going global on starting up with Virtuzone today. I've got the big man PB alongside me, Paul Bryson, the MD of Virtuzone. Our special guest this half of the show is the author, the speaker, the entrepreneur, the investor and the founder of Alpha Global Enterprise, Mr. Alpha himself, Seif El Hakim, who's alongside us. Seif, loads of comments coming in from a number of our listeners here this morning. Quick question as well. I mean, you've gone global. You've taken your brand and the Alpha brand global. And yet you meet so many influential people here in the UAE, here in Dubai, as you've mentioned already today. A lot of global thinkers coming together. Do you get frustrated that some people stop themselves from venturing outside the UAE?
Of course. Use Dubai, leverage Dubai not just as a city to launch a business. So I want you to leverage Dubai as launchpad to launch a platform, have your voice travels across borders. Because Dubai is not like a normal or a regular city that you launch a business and sit with this business locally. It has the infrastructure that can easily make you go global. So utilize Dubai as a city to go from local to global. And it's easy.
If you could proffer some advice to listeners out there about the challenges, because, I mean, this hasn't landed in on your lap. You've worked really hard in order to develop it. You work on a daily basis really hard. You're just telling us about what you're doing over the weekend. You work. That's what it is. Hustling. What about the challenges about being your own brand? What should people be aware of?
Be yourself. Right. Be able and tolerant to negative feedbacks. It should strengthen your skin rather than break you. Don't be the person that you want to respond to the negative responses. That's number one. Number two, challenges comes from inside. Like sometimes you wake up in the morning and say like, I'm done. I'm tired. You need a motivation. No, you don't need a motivation. You keep consistent and disciplined and keep going. It doesn't get built over a day, over a week, over a month, over years. But the end result, it's going to happen if you keep going. So these are the main, I would say, main challenges. And don't fake it. Don't really fake. You have a brand, you have a story, you have an identity. Put it out there. Collect the feedback, but don't let this feedback harm you, and keep moving. But don't fake something that you really don't embody. These are the main things.
Listen, you've been so kind with your time as well. We could talk for hours. Alas, Virtuzone only give us 1 hour on a Friday. But if people want to find out what's coming up, what's in the pipeline, what's happening, what's up next?
Oh my God. I would say like it's going to happen. It's an platform, I would say, more or less similar to TikTok. And it's going to be educational. That's something big. It's going to happen. Starting from Dubai, and it's going to hit the world.
And where can people find out more about the things that you're up to, where you're speaking, the platform and more?
It's on my Instagram and my personal website, seifelhakim.com.
Okay, and if people search for Alpha Global Enterprise, they can find all the details there?
As well.
Are books available at the moment online and other stores?
Absolutely. Yeah? I want everybody to read it. It's really, I would say it's my journey, moving from corporate to an entrepreneur and a sports person, so I believe it will be valuable for a lot of people.
Listen, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here in the studio.
Here.
I know you've got a busy weekend, but hopefully you get a bit of downtime as well, Seif. Hopefully. Big Paul Bryson, takeaways from today's chats.
Two good chats, right? Two excellent chats. I think that...
Two global thinkers.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think that both show that Dubai is a global platform and a great place to launch from into other markets because people are really, really interested in all things Dubai.
Aren't they just? PB, thank you very much indeed. If people want to find out more about VZ, what do they do?
Website, virtuzone.com or Virtuzone on Instagram and our other socials.
PB's the MD of VZ. We had Seif, the man behind all things Alpha. And of course, our thanks to Ananya from Hunter a little earlier on. If you missed the show, it will go out as a podcast on all of our streaming platforms. Just search for Starting Up with Virtuzone. And if you can't get enough of it, worry not. We're back next Friday with yet more from the team at Virtuzone. Only here on Dubai Eye 103.8. Enjoy your weekend.
Download the ARN News Centre app and stay up to date wherever you go.
Available for free.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day indeed. A little bit of YouTube for you on a Friday morning there. Now, listen, you are locked into Starting Up with Virtuzone on a Friday morning. We've talked about products going global, snacks and all, but what about if the brand that you are trying to market globally is, well, you? How can you grow your personal brand and make it world class? Well, there's only one man to ask. An absolute force of nature globally at the moment. Author, speaker, entrepreneur, investor, and of course the much sought after CEO of Alpha Global Enterprise, Seif El Hakim, has been kind enough to join us live in studio on a Friday morning. How's your Friday treating you, Seif?
Oh, amazing. Super happy to be with you today. Super happy.
It's great to have you.
It's a pleasure. I'm sure we're going to have a lovely, lovely conversation.
Well, no, indeed we are, because I'm really keen to get your advice on how you take you global as well. You've done exactly that. Let's start at the beginning if we can. You're based here in Dubai, but you are a truly international individual. You operate all over the world. Why Dubai, and why is Dubai a good launch pad for the work that you do?
You know, Dubai is an amazing place to launch your global brand. For me, Dubai is, I would say, like when ambition meets, I would say, infrastructure. You know, Dubai is known for its speed, connectivity, obsession with excellence. And that's absolutely what it means to me as, I would say, my Alpha brand. So that's why I would say since I launched my brand, I already had what I call the global credibility because of Dubai vibes and the international energy in Dubai. Very simple as that.
You talk about the Alpha brand, and it is a brand that has grown across the globe, as we mentioned a little bit earlier on. A lot of people will, but the core of Alpha brand is building communities and it's connecting with communities. And that's all about people. That's about a wider community. Whereas when you say, how do you boost your personal brand? People think individual as well. So the two go hand in hand. In order to build individual brand, you need to focus on community.
Of course, the best way to build a brand is to build a community around, where in a way it's called a movement. Top brands, who are top brands we consider today, they're built on communities, not just a brand. Examples a lot from corporates, like the motorcycle brand, without saying the names. So building a community helps you 100% build the overall image of the brand. And that is building loyal audience. And then at the end, it translates to what? Growth in business, either across different verticals or even across borders when you are launching from a place like Dubai.
Did you operate in other markets before Dubai?
Oh, I lived in different markets, different, from South Korea to Moscow to Turkey to France to Egypt.
And did you find that Dubai gave you a different opportunity?
Oh my God.
These markets?
Absolutely. Dubai is the best market for having your business to go global.
You could come on tour with us. You know, when we go and do our events in the UK and our events in Europe, we try and tell people you need to look at. They don't quite get it, unless you're here, unless you've been to see it.
Like what I say is Dubai is like an airport lounge. As a city, it's an airport lounge. Like people come and go. So the moment you build trust, this trust travel with you. So once you start the communication or the network or the connection, keeping in mind that's a global connection, man, it goes everywhere.
That's what Dubai's built on, right? We talk about all the brands, but the number one brand is that airline,
of course,
and that airport, and that's East meeting West. That's what the government want to launch, and now everybody else is chasing it. Everyone else in the GCC, Turkey's chasing it. They're all trying to be that connectivity hub. A bit late to the party and the brand. So Dubai's got the brand and it's making a difference.
Talking of brands, and we talked a lot about Dubai, let's talk about you, though, Seif. I want to know more about the Alpha movement and, of course, your book, which you've kindly given us a copy here, Unleash the Alpha by Seif El Hakim, the creator of the Alpha movement. How do you explain the Alpha movement?
Okay, back in the days, like a couple of years back, I was sitting back at home watching online, as everybody. And then I got so pissed from what I'm seeing on social media in general by people just comparing themselves to others. They're not going outside their comfort zone, sitting on the couch watching Netflix, starting from the Corona time. And at that moment, I said, no, I'm not going to stop here. I want to do something to help the people, inspire the people, have an impact. So I started going with the Alpha movement. And why the Alpha? Because Alpha represents to me a leader. Okay, it's the first letter of the Greek alphabet, but it's not in the term that the old school term, the alpha, the dominance, the egocentric, the selfish, not that at all. These are the type of people who I consider they are goal-oriented. I say that our stop button is broken. We take full responsibility. We make tough decisions. We care about our beloved ones. We're impactful, influential. These are all the traits of the Alpha movement, of the Alpha, which I infused it in the Alpha movement overall. So, in a nutshell, what's an Alpha movement? It's built on different platforms. One is the show, one is the book series, and one is my online training platform that helps people to go beyond their comfort zone and help them upgrade their life and their business. My summits, my masterminds. So it's a combination of things. But the runner is my show.
How's it changed you as an individual as well going on this journey?
You can't do something while you're sitting in the back seat. So you have to be a role model. So whatever I say, whatever I go online with, I have to demonstrate all these things. So it crafted me in a way that I'm showing online and teaching people or suggesting to people or recommending to people. So this helped me and shaped me who's safe right now in every single way. From a knowledge, from skill sets, from responsibility, taking tough decisions. Sometimes I look at myself and say, no, Seif, take this decision because you preach about that. So move ahead and do that. You're a role model. You're under the spotlight anyways.
And talking of, practicing what you preach as well. Great phrase that you come up with. Your network is your net worth as well. Again, quantify that for our listeners out there in terms of how connections have helped you with personal success.
Wow. I believe that, again, your network is your net worth, and every hand you shake is the money you make at the end of the day. So, and especially in a city like Dubai, you meet different people from different countries, from different nationalities. If you consider and treat this connection genuine, not just a transactional connection, the return will come. Maybe not now, but down the line. So through my show, let's give it an example. Through my show, I interview a lot of people. And a lot of these people that I interview in Dubai, and thanks to Dubai, because it brings all these international, I would say, businessmen, businesswomen, investors, or whatever, I had a lot of ventures, and I'm saying not just one, a lot of ventures worldwide because of the connections that I built in a city like that. And I built it genuinely, not transactionally. You know, these days when you see people just meet, hello, how are you? Can you do this for me? It doesn't work this way anymore.
See, 100% on that. We're having a chat about that in-house this week. So back in the day, I used to do a lot of networking myself here. And a lot of guys will say, you know, when you find people at these events, they're all doing the wrong things. People are going to these events, they're trying to sell and promote their product, and what can you do for me? Whereas if you're in a room and there's 100 people there networking, I don't know if you find this, there's 100 sellers, nobody's gone to buy. There's no buyers there. So if there's 100 sellers, no buyers, nobody's going to make a sale. But if you're there and you actually understand the other person, find, how can I help you? What can I do for you? Let me find you something. Then you activate reciprocity, you'll find something for me. You know? So it's a bit, it's kind of softer approach, not that.
It's an art at the end of the day. It's an art. But we have to agree that Dubai gives you this opportunity. We're in a city where you have this kind of opportunity to network with the right people. So if you're having the right people, the right partner, trust me, Dubai is a gateway to your business expansion.
Well, nowhere else in the world are you going to have events on a Saturday.
Exactly.
Sunday. You're talking about having events tomorrow, right?
True, 100%.
Nowhere in the world. In the UK, Friday, 3:30 in the afternoon, people switch their phones off.
Don't call me.
Gone.
Call me after 5.
Different mind.
Listen, one thing that is an indicator of that is, of course, the roads. Let's just get out a quick traffic update.
Dubai Eye 103.8 traffic.
With Yas Island Abu Dhabi. Stay at iconic hotels